Israel is intensifying its retaliation in Gaza, targeting Hamas just days after Hamas militants launched a surprise attack along the Gaza Strip that killed hundreds. Hello and welcome. You're watching Temple Update. I'm Melissa Clausel.
And I'm Taylor Hess. Here are the latest updates from overnight. Airstrikes continue overseas on the fifth day of the Israel-Hamas War. Israel Defense Forces announced overnight that they are launching an extensive attack on Hamas territory within the Gaza Strip. This morning, Israeli Air Forces conducted a wave of strikes targeting Nukba elite forces within Hamas command centers. Israel is now preparing a ground invasion on the border of Gaza. The war has claimed more than 2,300 lives on both sides. As of this morning, Secretary of State Antony Blinken has confirmed at least 25 Americans are dead in Israel. 17 Americans have been reported missing, including an unknown number of Americans still being held hostage. Blinken also met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this morning in Tel Aviv.
Here in the U.S., President Biden spoke out against the attacks in Israel, reiterating the United States' support for their ally and condemning the attacks by the Hamas militant group.
We stand with Israel, and we will make sure Israel has what it needs to take care of its citizens, defend itself, and respond to this attack.
The ongoing war overseas has prompted demonstrations, vigils, and ceremonies across the U.S. Temple Update spoke with students trying to process the loss and destruction both in Israel and Gaza. Rallies have broken out in cities like New York as demonstrators in support of Palestinians take to the streets, recognizing thousands of civilians killed. In Times Square, pro-Israel supporters gathered. And here on campus, students attended a ceremony at the Bell Tower in support of Israel.
I think it can be depressing to just go over the victims and be mourning them, but I think it's also nice to have that sense of community and know that you're not alone.
Hani Wyman is the student president of Hillel Temple, the organization that has played a key part in offering support amid the war.
People tend to polarize what's going on, and it's one side versus the other, but I think that the way that majority of people feel is we're saddened for the families of the victims and for the Middle East as a whole and everyone who's affected.
Erez Yarden is a student originally from the Tel Aviv area. He says he hasn't slept much, checking updates constantly.
Just been following along, waiting to see if I recognize the name, which I haven't so far, which is, I guess, somewhat good, but doesn't really help knowing that these people are dead anyways.
The organization Temple Students for Justice in Palestine released a statement in regards to the ongoing war between Hamas and Israel, saying, "We believe that the Palestinian people have the right to stand up for their freedom and resist oppression. The occupation persists, and our freedom of our people cannot be achieved without a revolution." The statement was signed and endorsed by multiple student organizations across the nation.
Temple University Associate Professor of Political Science Sean Yom specializes in regimes and governance in the Middle East. Professor Yom says that the conflict is going to worsen before we see an end.
The reason it's going to get worse before it gets better is that in retaliation to Hamas's terrorism, the Israeli government has essentially declared total war on the Palestinians of Gaza, meaning those 2 million Palestinians living in this compacted, sealed territory, cut off from the outside world, from the rest of Israel, as well as from Egypt, for which they share a single border crossing for, who are now subjected to daily bombardments, even hourly bombardments.
An estimated 950 people are dead, with 3,300 people displaced in Gaza since Israel began retaliations last week.
Again, this war is still ongoing, but stick with Temple Update as we give you the latest updates on the continuing conflict overseas.
Dr. Jason Wingard has announced he's officially stepping down tomorrow after nearly 2 years as Temple's president. Hello and welcome. You're watching Temple Update. I'm Melissa Clausel.
And I'm Haya Kubbaj. Wingard's resignation comes the week after Temple's faculty union authorized a no-confidence vote against senior leadership. In an email sent out to the university Tuesday, Board of Trustees Chair Mitchell Morgan praised Wingard for his contributions to the university and thanked him for his dedication to the Temple community. In an interview with the New York Times, Wingard said, quote, "I recognize that all the attention and focus that was being placed on me, and it was getting hotter and hotter. It was disallowing us from being able to satisfy the strategy I mapped out."
Dr. Jason Wingard joined the university back in July 2021 as Temple's first Black president. In his 2 years as president, the university faced growing safety concerns amid gun violence and crime near campus. Wingard's goal was to improve safety following the murder of Temple student Samuel Collington, who was shot and killed near campus in November 2021. Wingard promised to increase Temple's campus safety force by 50%. This goal has still not been met.
In spring 2022, Temple Update sat down with Wingard to discuss campus safety and reflect on his first year as president. Wingard was officially inaugurated a few months later in a ceremony at the Leocoris Center. In December, Wingard announced his plans to sell his Chestnut Hill home and move to an off-campus row home on Carlisle Street. His home was never put on the market.
The spring 2023 semester brought more controversy when TUPD went on strike in late January, following unsuccessful negotiations for more benefits and higher wages. During the 6-week strikes, Temple saw continued crime and gun violence, including the murder of Temple Police Sergeant Christopher Fitzgerald. Temple's faculty union then authorized a vote of no confidence against Wingard and other university leaders. Wingard announced his resignation a week later.
I spoke to Temple students about their reactions to Wingard's departure and how they feel about Temple's current administration. Here's what they had to say.
People weren't feeling like they were being heard. And, it was just so bizarre to people that they couldn't get in contact with their university's administration when they pay so much money to get here.
Keep Us Safe to You founder John Mangan, one of several students who organized a safety rally earlier this semester, says the main issue with Temple's leadership is lack of communication.
Nobody expected Temple to just stop the crime. We know it's going to happen, but they expected some type of response. And for months, there was nothing. And there was just this constant PR cycle.
After serving as Temple's president for nearly 2 years, some students say they were not expecting President Jason Wingard to resign so soon.
I definitely say I was surprised because, as you know, he's relatively new and he moved here.
Some students told me that they are surprised Wingard has stepped down, but others said that they were expecting this. Biden is back. The president returns from Ukraine.
A cherry anniversary. The pantry turns 5.
Big fun in the Big Easy. An Update alum's first Mardi Gras.
A growing memorial now stands just steps from where Temple University police officer Christopher Fitzgerald was killed in the line of duty. Hello and welcome. You're watching Temple Update. I'm Haya Kubbaj.
And I'm Melissa Clausel. The Temple University community came together this week to mourn and honor the fallen officer. Officer Christopher Fitzgerald was shot Saturday night while trying to stop a robbery at the 1700 block of West Montgomery Avenue. The bell tower is lit up blue in honor of Officer Fitzgerald, along with other buildings in the city. Governor Josh Shapiro has ordered all flags to be flown at half-staff to honor him.
Officer Fitzgerald joined the Temple University Police Department in October of 2021. He leaves behind a wife and 4 children between the ages of 7 and 13. His wife says he was a good man who took pride in his work and wanted to give back to the community.
As shootings and other crimes are happening close to campus, many students are left feeling uneasy about campus safety efforts. Temple Update's Corey Thompson is live at the bell tower with more on how students are handling the first loss of a Temple police officer on duty. Corey, how are students feeling?
Good morning, Haya and Alyssa. Some students are still experiencing mixed emotions of sadness and confusion. I spoke with Temple students about how they felt at the visual and if Temple is doing enough for student safety.
I wonder if I'm going to make it to graduation. Is it safe enough for me to make it to graduation? Will I make it?
That is what Temple University freshman Veronica Wren is asking after the recent loss of Temple police officer Christopher Fitzgerald. Officer Fitzgerald was shot on the 1700 block of Montgomery Avenue Saturday night and soon pronounced dead at Temple University Hospital. Students, friends, and fellow officers have been visiting the growing memorial located at the corner of 17 and Montgomery throughout the week. Emotions heightened as the university hosted a visual in memory of Officer Fitzgerald, leaving students even more heartbroken.
This is quite frankly devastating. This is only my second semester here at Temple. I'm a transfer student. So to go from a more rural community college to this is honestly a shock.
I feel absolutely heartbroken. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I feel like this is the first time this has ever happened on campus, a Temple police officer actually losing his life. And I just don't really have enough words to say. I'm just truly heartbroken.
Some students feel overwhelmed and scared. President Wingard spoke at Tuesday's visual on efforts to strengthen the community.
We will strengthen this community with the ideals that Officer Christopher Fitzgerald modeled, which are service, commitment, and family. We are one family.
Students have mixed opinions on Temple's approach to safety and if they are taking the appropriate steps to protect its students.
The university isn't doing a lot to protect us, and I feel like I hear more from student-led accounts than TU alerts.
I think with the resources we have, I think Temple has been putting their best foot forward. Obviously, everybody can make improvements every day. Stuff can be improved, stuff can be changed for the better.
The Temple Police Association created a GoFundMe that has raised more than $400,000 for Officer Fitzgerald's family. Officer Fitzgerald's wife, Marissa Fitzgerald, says everything has changed.
I will never be the same. I pray for all of y'all's safety and to hold each other a little tighter. His legacy will live on, and I'll be sure of it.
The viewing for Officer 30 p.m. at the The viewing for Officer Fitzgerald will take place today at 5:30 p.m. at the John F. Gimner's Funeral Home. Tomorrow, the funeral service will be at 8 a.m. at the Cathedral Basilica of St. Peter and Paul. Reporter for Temple Update, I'm Corey Thompson. Hi, and Alyssa, back to you.
Thanks, Corey. Suspect Miles Pfeffer's preliminary hearing has been scheduled for March 7th. Police say that after the murder of Officer Fitzgerald, Pfeffer fled the scene. He then carjacked someone and was later arrested around 7 a.m. Sunday morning at his home in Bucks County. Officials have charged Pfeffer with murder, criminal homicide of a law enforcement officer, disarming an officer, robbery, theft, evading arrest, and weapons crimes, along with other charges related to the carjacking. Police say that they have not recovered the murder weapon.
As Corey mentioned, Officer Fitzgerald's viewing will be held tonight from 6 to 9 p.m. His funeral will be tomorrow from 8 to 11:30 a.m. at the Cathedral Basilica, followed by a service.
Any member of the Temple community that wishes to attend has been asked to bring their TUID to be admitted.
Students gathered on campus to watch the Phillies take on the Braves in Game 3 of the National League Division Series, with their big 10-2 win over Atlanta. One of the watch parties on campus took place at Maxie's, with the Phillies fever high as ever.
I'll tell you what, the Phillies are now just one win away from clinching a spot in the championship series.
Well, let's head over to Victoria LaPrince at the Sports Desk with the latest on the postseason updates.
That's right, Taylor and Alyssa. After an incredible win, the Phillies move even closer to that World Series return they've been fighting for. Ava Hedges is live at Citizens Bank Park with more on how last night's game went down.
That's right, Victoria. Fans are ecstatic to see their Red October hopes and dreams come to life after the Phillies' triumph at the Braves last night. Last night in Game 3 of the National League Division Series, they won 10-2 after losing to the Braves on Monday night. Phillies right fielder Nick Castellanos was right when he said, "We thrive when we get punched in the face, man." The Phils lost 5-4 in Game 2, but came back with the 6 home runs last night, a franchise playoff record. All eyes were on Bryce Harper, and he did not disappoint. He hit 2 home runs during last night's game. That's all I have for you right now, but I'll be back later with more information about the game tonight. Back to you, Victoria.